right, so here are our next steps. So far we have our horizon line, which can also be referred to eye level. We also have our vanishing point. In this case, we are talking about 1-point perspective, so we have one vanishing point sitting on the horizon line or eye level. And we have drawn 4 different boxes, one above, one below, one directly below or above, and then one on the horizon line, so it's overlapping. We wanted to make sure that all of our angles are 90-degree angles, so our lines are totally vertical and totally horizontal, and hopefully your boxes are not angled or lopsided. All right, next steps is we simply connect each corner of all of our boxes directly to the vanishing point. So in this case, we definitely want to make sure we're using a ruler. For this, I'm asking that you use a different colored pencil just so that we can identify the lines that are going to the vanishing point. So I'm just using a light color so that we'll be able to see the lines. Okay, so next what I like to do is to make sure that my lines are definitely going to line up and they're not going to be off. Something that helps me is to place my pencil on the vanishing point, and then I can hit my ruler, and that's a guide that I can use to kind of tilt back and forth and make sure that I line up to the vanishing point. All right, once I make sure that I have it connecting totally to the vanishing point, I will connect the 4 corners to my vanishing point. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, and in this case, we are going to do the 4th corner. Eventually, when you start drawing boxes and you know that they are going to be opaque shapes, meaning not see-through, you don't necessarily always have to connect that 4th corner if it's going to be behind your object. But for this case, just for practice purposes, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'll connect the rest of the boxes. And there we have it. So we have all 4 of our boxes, all 4 corners are connecting to the vanishing line. So all of these lines are representing the corners of the buildings going back into space. And because we are looking at 1-point perspective, they are all going to the same vanishing point. All right, so these are the only lines in our drawings that would be diagonal lines, and they're all going to that vanishing point. So next step is to finish the cube. So we started with the front. So this is the closest part of the cube or building that we would be seeing. So we're standing right here in front of it, and we would be seeing the front of the cube. So those are the areas that we drew first. We connected our line to the vanishing point, and now we are finishing the cube. So this is where it tends to get a little bit tricky, depending on if you're making opaque boxes, translucent boxes, etc. We're going to simplify and just make them opaque. So first thing you need to do is choose the box. We'll start with this top above box. And we're going to choose how to end the building. How long of a box do we want it to be? So what we like to do is choose a corner, and basically you're going to slide down, and that is representing the corner of that box going back into the distance, basically forever. So you decide how long or short your box is going to be. So it could be a very short box, it could be a medium box, it could be a really, really long box. Right now, it just continues forever. So you'll simply pick a point on that line. We'll just choose a medium length. Okay, pick a point right here. And from that point, we want to basically mimic the same exact shape that we have here. So we're starting with the top corner, and we want to connect, we want to imitate that line going downwards until it hits the bottom corner. and that bottom corner is represented by that line that we drew to the vanishing point. Okay, so this is the important part where we want to make sure our lines are going to be totally parallel. They're not going to be angled because that will throw off the shape of our box. So we'll start with this part here. And again, we want to make sure that our line is totally vertical. So with your ruler, sometimes it helps that you can see the space either compared to the edge of your paper. Okay, we can see that this is an angle now. We want to make sure it's going to be totally vertical. So a vertical line that goes straight down, all the way down until it hits that vanishing point. Okay, that extension of the vanishing point. So now we're at this corner, we're at the bottom corner, and we want to mimic what we have here. So we want to go over. We want to go horizontal across until it hits this bottom corner, which is represented by this line here. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing where we go from corner and over. And again, I can use my ruler to make sure that I'm going to be parallel. So if we're crooked, you're going to be able to see that, comparing it to your horizon line, comparing it to the top of your paper. But make sure it's going to be totally horizontal so that you have equal space going across. And you're mimicking the exact shape that you had at the beginning. Okay, so we'll take that corner, go across until we hit that point. Alrighty, and so if we were going to make this a translucent box, we would do the same thing. We would take this corner and we would mimic and go up until it hits that corner, the top corner that's represented by here. And then we would take this point and then mimic and finish the box and come on over. Okay, for these purposes, we're going to just simplify it because these are the only sides of the box that we see. So right now I'm just going to finish off the square by representing my final lines with the original color and seeing my corners. And there we have our finished box. And so in a regular drawing, we would usually use a really light pencil and we would come and erase all of these lines. We're gonna just leave them. All right, so that's what we want to do with the rest of our boxes. So we have our top above, we'll do our bottom below. The middle one here is going to be a little bit different because when you have a box that is just simply right above or below, you're only seeing the front and the top of the box. So really all you would have to do here is end the box, pick a point, end the box, draw a horizontal line over, and then boom, you're done. Okay. Same thing with the box that is on the horizon line because they're opaque. Okay. We don't see the top or the bottom. We only see the front and the side. So you would do the same thing where you would choose an ending point on the horizon line, the corner going back into space, choose a point, mimic what you see, mimic the line down, so a totally vertical line going up and down, and we would mimic that vertical line going up and down and end the box. All right, and there we have it. So here are our 4 finished boxes. So all of the corners going back into the distance are meeting up at the vanishing point. Depending on the location, we're able to see up to 2 to 3 sides of our box. So a box that is off to the side, above or below, we'll be able to see the front, the side, and either the top or the bottom of the box. For a box that is directly below or above, we only see the front and the top or the bottom of the box. And for one that is existing on the horizon line, we'll be able to see the front of the box and then the side of the box going back into the distance. All right. So there we have our basic boxes. Next off, I thought it would be interesting to do just a couple of more unique shapes because we're not always drawing cubes and rectangles in real life. So we're going to draw a couple more different shapes, and I'm going to show you how to connect those to the vanishing point. So let's start off with maybe a heart shape. So we'll draw a heart shape down here. And maybe next we'll do a circle. And perhaps even a triangle shape. All right. And so for any shape whatsoever, it's the same concept of taking points of your shape and connecting it to the vanishing point. Okay. So for example, the triangle has points just like a square, only it has 3. So we'll do the same thing where we'll connect the points of the triangle to the vanishing point. 1, 2, 3. Okay. For a circle, basically what you're going to do is line up the vanishing point until it hits the edge of your circle. Okay, so you don't want it going through your circle. You're simply going to line it up wherever it would hit the ruler, wherever the edge would hit your ruler first. So we'll take that and we'll extend that to the vanishing point. Same thing to the other side. Okay, so line up your ruler and figure out where your circle is going to hit that ruler. So we'll extend that. And then the same thing for the heart. Okay, so we're going to take our vanishing point and then wherever it's going to hit the heart, okay, wherever it hits it first, that is going to be the point. Then we'll do that for the other point here. And then for the edge, this is like the circle as well. So wherever you see the top of the heart hitting, we'll connect that. Okay. So then really it's the same concept as this is the front, the closest area that we see. So this is what we're seeing front face, and we just want to end the shape. So how far back in space do we want it to go? And we're simply going to mimic, repeat whatever shape, whatever type of line we see here. So for a square, it was simply a vertical or a horizontal line. So we took a vertical line, we repeated a vertical line. For this heart, we have this curve shape here. So what we want to do is we'll take a point, we'll slide back in space, decide how far we want to have it go, and we basically want to mimic that same shape. And this is the hardest part when we have curves. So if you have something that just goes straight or not curved enough, it's going to make your shape look a little funky. So basically you want to take this exact line and repeat the same exact curve to the best of your ability. Okay, so if it's really stretched out or if it's too flat, it's going to throw off your shape. And then you would simply repeat. Same thing for your circle. So you want to take this exact curve shape, whatever amount of curve you have here. So you'll pick your point, slide down, and then you want to mimic the same curve. So cylinders, we're going to talk about cylinders a little bit more, but this is the trickiest areas. Again, some people don't have enough curve and it makes it look a little flat. So this amount of curve doesn't match this curve, or sometimes it's too much and it also throws it off. So you want to just simply mimic the exact same amount of curvature that you have there. Okay. And then you would simply connect your lines. 1, 2, use a ruler, of course. And then for the triangle, same thing. Find a point, whatever lines you can see, end it, and you would connect that line over. This one is directly above the vanishing point, so really all we can see is the bottom. But it's the same concept if you were to have it maybe down below or over to the side. Okay, so try making a few different shapes with curves in them, maybe a star, circle, oval, triangle, even a house shape, and create a 3D shape going to the vanishing point. All right, and that's it. So once you're done, once you feel like you have everything done, labeled, you can write your name. So sign your name, take a photograph, and pop this into our next slide. And we have completed our first 1-point perspective practice.